One force helps you root yourself well on this planet, the other takes you beyond. Self-preservation needs to be limited to the physical body. If you have the necessary awareness to separate the two, there is no conflict. But if you are identified with the physical, then instead of working in collaboration, these two fundamental forces become a source of tension. All of the material versus spiritual struggles of humanity spring from this ignorance. When you say spirituality, you are talking about a dimension beyond the physical. The human desire to transcend the limitations of the physical is a completely natural one. To journey from the boundary-based individual body to the boundless source of creation, this is the very basis of the spiritual process. The walls of self-preservation that you build for today are the walls of self-imprisonment for tomorrow. The boundaries that you establish in your life as a protection for yourself today will feel like constraints tomorrow. Robert Frost captured a deep truth when he wrote, "Something there is that doesn't love a wall." Because your self-preservation instinct keeps telling you, unless you have walls, you are not safe. Unconsciously, you keep building them. Later, you struggle with them. This is an endless cycle. But creation is not unwilling to open to you the doors to the beyond. It is not creation's unwillingness that you are struggling with. You are struggling with the walls of resistance that you have built around yourself. This is why the yogic system does not talk about God. It does not talk about soul or heaven. Such talk invariably makes people hallucinatory. Yoga talks only about barriers that you have set up, because this resistance is all that needs to be attended to. The Creator is not looking for your attention. The ropes that bind you and the walls that block you, these are 100% your making. And these are all you need to unknot and dismantle. You have no work with existence. You only have work with the existence that you have created. If I were to use an analogy, I would juxtapose gravity and grace. Gravity is related, in a way, to the fundamental instinct of self-preservation in a human being. We are rooted to the planet right now because of gravity. We have a body today only because of gravity. Gravity is trying to hold you down, whereas grace is a force that is trying to lift you up. If you are released from the physical forces of existence, then grace bursts forth in your life. As gravity is active, grace too is constantly active. It is just that you have to make yourself available to it. With gravity, you have no choice. You are available to it anyway. If you are strongly identified with the physical, gravity is all that you will know. But with grace, you have to make yourself receptive. Whatever kind of spiritual practice you do, ultimately you are just working towards making yourself available to grace. When you are available to grace, suddenly you seem to function like magic. Suppose you were the only one who could ride a bicycle. You would begin to seem magical to everyone else. It is the same with grace. Others might think you are magic, but you know you are just beginning to become receptive to a new dimension of life. This possibility is available to everybody. Sadhana. You may have noticed this about yourself. When you're feeling pleasant, you want to expand. When you're fearful, you want to contract. Try this. Sit for a few minutes in front of a plant or tree. Remind yourself that you are inhaling what the tree is exhaling, and exhaling what the tree is inhaling. Even if you are not yet experientially aware of it, establish a psychological connection with the plant. You could repeat this several times a day, After a few days, you will start connecting with everything around you differently. You won't limit yourself to a tree. Using this simple process, we at Isha Yoga Center have unleashed an environmental initiative in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu, under which 30 million trees have been planted since 2004. We spent several years planting trees in people's minds, which is the most difficult terrain. Now transplanting those into land happens that much more effortlessly. Life sense, knowing life beyond the senses. How does the human body make sense of the world? What is its source of knowing? The answer is obvious, through the five senses. Whatever you know of the world or yourself is information you have gathered only through five sense organs, by seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching. If these sense organs fold up, you would know neither the world nor yourself. When you sleep every night, suddenly the people around you disappear, the world disappears, and even you disappear. You are still alive, everybody around you is alive, but in your experience, everything evaporates, because these five sense organs have gone into shutdown mode. The sense organs are limited. They can perceive only that which is physical. If your perception is limited to five senses, naturally the scope of your life will be restricted to the physical. Additionally, the senses perceive everything only in relation to something else. If I touch a metal object and it feels cool to my fingers, it is simply because my body temperature is warmer. Suppose I lower my body temperature and touch it, it would feel warm to me. The sense perceptions are absolutely wonderful instruments for human survival. They are turned on at the moment of your birth because they are essential to your survival in the outside world. But if you are seeking something more than survival, they are not enough. They give you a distorted impression of reality because they are entirely relative in their perception. If you are really interested in knowing life in all its depth and dimension, it is imperative that you look inward, not out. Why? Because the essential nature of life does not lie in the physical or psychological expression of body and mind, but in their source. However, looking inward doesn't happen easily. It takes work because you don't yet have the perceptual mechanism to look within. The human predicament is just this. The very seat of your experience is within you, but your perception is entirely outward bound. This is why there is such a big disconnect between within and without. You can see what is outside you, but you cannot see what is inside you. Even if someone whispers, you can hear that, but there is so much activity happening in the body that is beyond your ability to hear. Even if an ant crawls upon your skin, you can sense it right away, but there is so much blood flowing within you and you cannot feel. Your sense organs can only register external sensations of sight, sound, smell, taste and touch, but the source of all experience is within you. An experience may be triggered by an external stimulus, but its origin is always internal. There are times when the same experience can be generated even without an external trigger. Yoga is fundamentally aimed at enhancing your experience beyond the five senses. There is a dimension beyond your five sense perceptions. You can call that dimension whatever you please. You can call it self if you choose, you can call it divine if you choose, you can term it God if you choose. The terminology is entirely up to you. And even if you are not in quest of the divine or the self, enhancing your perception can play a vital role in assuring a fundamental level of well-being. Whatever you are, Doctor, policeman, engineer, artist, homemaker, or student, fundamentally, it is your quality of perception that determines how effective and successful you are and how much you can do on this planet. The expansion of your sense perception beyond its present boundaries can achieve phenomenal results, bringing a completely new and seemingly magical dimension to your life. The common questions are, is it very difficult to enhance my perception? Do I have to withdraw to a Himalayan cave to turn inward? Not at all. This possibility does not come from sitting somewhere on top of a mountain. It is within you. The only reason it has been inaccessible is that you are either busy or preoccupied with what is happening outside or far too engaged in your own psychological drama. It is just a lack of attention which has denied people the possibility of discovering what lies within. Turning inward does not have anything to do with thoughts, ideas, opinions, or philosophies. It has nothing to do with the psychological activity of your mind. Enhancing your perception means enhancing your ability to receive life just as it is. If you are willing to dedicate just a few minutes of your life to this every day, you would see the change. The simple process of paying a little bit of attention to your inner nature will transform the quality of your life in remarkable ways. Sadhana. Start by paying attention to everything you think of as yourself. Just before you fall asleep, your thoughts, your emotions, your hair, your skin, your clothes, your makeup. Know that none of this is you. There is no need to make any conclusion about what is you or what truth is. Truth is not a conclusion. If you keep false conclusions at bay, truth will dawn. It is like your experience of the night. The sun has not gone, it is just that the planet is looking the other way. You are thinking, reading, talking about the self because you're too busy looking the other way. You haven't paid enough attention to know what the self really is. What is needed is not a conclusion, but a turnaround. If you manage to enter sleep with this awareness, it will be significant. Since there is no external interference in sleep, this will grow into a powerful experience. Over time, you will enter a dimension beyond all accumulations. Listening to life. There are several ways to attain a state of abiding joy and ultimate union. These are diverse, but it is important that they are all addressed in a balanced and integrated way. There is really no division or hierarchy between these varied approaches. Yoga is completely even-handed. It employs all the aspects of who you are to take you to your ultimate destination. The body constitutes a very large part of who you are in your present understanding. The science of using the body to hasten your evolutionary process is Hatha Yoga. Ha denotes the sun, Tha denotes the moon. Hatha Yoga is the science of bringing about a balance between these two dimensions within the human system. The human body has its own attitudes, its own resistance, its own temperament.